The single biggest problem Ashes of Creation faces. Which problem is that? Let's find out.
This video is going to piss a lot of people off. I can just imagine the comment section now. Heck, the thumbnail probably has some of you already furiously typing on your keyboard about how I'm trying to kill another MMO. But you're wrong. Quite the opposite. I'm trying to save Ashes of Creation. So hear me out before you leave a comment, because you'll...
But that's true. If you as a creator, you criticize a game, that often means you're giving constructive feedback. You're just trying to tell the devs, hey, if you change this or you do this, people are going to love your game. This is just constructive feedback. That's not killing the game. There's some issue and it's not out yet, so why not point it out, right? All right, let's see what he discovered.
Likely realize I'm on your side. I just want Ashes to succeed, but if Ashes of Creation goes through with its current design without changing anything, its chart is going to look no different than any other dying MMO today. I don't say that lightly. I know how much copium some of us are sucking in, hoping that Ashes of Creation will be the next MMO to rekindle our love for the genre. Trust me, I'm sucking in more of this stuff than Narc, and he's literally made of it at this point. But there is a massive problem most of you are ignoring, and that problem is you don't like Ashes of Creation. Ashes of Creation in its currently planned design is not made for you. If you are a WoW player, an ESO player, a Final Fantasy XIV player, a Guild Wars 2 player, chances are you're gonna hate AOC once you get past the first few days.
Why?
Heck, I even asked you guys if you would like a game like AOC, and you said no. I just asked in a way where you didn't know I was asking about AOC. I posed the question like this: how would you feel about an open world MMO with always on PvP that you could never turn off? 82% of you that had an opinion in one way or the other said no.
If you're new to MMOs, you're gonna hate it. Like at first it's gonna be fascinating, like, oh, that's cool, I can fight against other players. But if you die like 10-20 times in a row and you don't get a single kill, like maybe you will quit. Like that's the thing, like there are some people that are like super noob mode, and they're not noobs because they don't have a skill, but because they're just not used to this kind of game and stuff. Like it was crazy. So 2 days ago, I logged back into ESO after, I don't know, was it like 1 year or longer that I have not played the game? And I saw like a lot of players are playing ESO with like low champion points. And champion points is basically some kind of like level or so in ESO, and you take time to get a certain CP. So if I see like 200, 100 CP, I know they are like new players, right? Like, oh, this player is just like 200 CP. Okay, he's new to the game. And if like people start MMO for the first time, they are new, they don't even know about like the mechanics, how to use CC, how to keep dots up and buffs up and all that. So they will constantly die. And I think this will lead to frustration and people quitting. So I think every MMO should have either 2 servers, one PvP, PvE, like we have with World of Warcraft, or you need to have the option to turn it on and off. Meaning that if you turn PvP off, nobody can attack you.
Way, not for me. And I would wager that the 18% that voted that you would want this, a substantial portion of you have never played an MMO with the AOC's proposed PvP system. And before you say, hey, I have played Lineage 2 or some other MMO where you can kill anyone, anytime with a flagging system that turns people purple and red based on how everything transpires, I am well aware a handful of you love this type of PvP. You are the rule 34 of PvP. You are an outlier.
I mean, yes, you
like it. The problem is almost nobody else does. Ashes of Creation's PvP is a one-to-one replica of the PvP system from Lineage 2. I have played it. I have lived it. I have thousands of hours in that system. It was my first MMO, and I degened it like the disgusting goblin of an MMO fiend that I am. What this means is I know every single problem with this system and how detrimental it's going to be to an MMO that tries to implement it in the modern day. Now, I don't expect you to just take my word for it. So in this video, I'm going to go over those problems and the inevitable effect they will have on the game's performance over time. I will also go over some proposed solutions and ask for you to propose solutions in the comments as well. My goal in this video is not to stifle interest in AOC, quite the opposite. I saw the Archer playtest and I am in love with the world they have created. Yeah, I want to get lost in that world. I want Ashes of Creation to do well, but I am also painfully aware of exactly why it won't if it doesn't address the problems I'm going to bring to light in the video today. The first and most obvious problem is that Ashes of Creation is an always-on open world PvP game, and 90% of MMO players flat out won't enjoy that. That means, right from the beginning, almost everyone that tries this game is sure to not like it. But you know what they will like? Raid Shadow Legends,
Oh.
who's also the sponsor of today's video. With hundreds of artifacts and over 600 champions blessed with unique skills, you can build your team and develop your champions any way you want. One of my favorite champions is the Sky Touch Shaman. She is a curious champion with a unique healing passive and a great defense against debuffs. She hurts herself to help her team, so it will take careful planning to keep her in the fight. Then there's Cardial. He isn't the perfect champion for every situation, but where he's good, he's really good. He's a team attack champion who can increase the entire team's crit rate and crit damage at the same time. And of course, you can't forget Glazea Soul Guide, who's all about freezing her enemy.
Those of you that play a lot of console back in the day, Final Fantasy, do you guys remember this kind of combat where you are like on a character or you have like a group of characters and it's like turn-based combat where you can select one, then you use a skill, then the other party does. Like, this brings back some old school Final Fantasy memories, like seriously.
Then head to trickortreat.plarium.com. Don't worry, I linked that in the description as well. From there, enter your details, spin the wheel, and get a prize, including $1,000 Amazon gift cards and some of the best epic and legendary Halloween champions. The special event ends November 5th, so be fast. You can also use the DK Rises promo code for a bunch of free items to instantly level any of your strongest champions to level 50 5-star Ascension. Promo code available for both new and existing players until October 25th. If you haven't started playing Raid yet, click my link in the description or scan my QR code on screen and you'll get a unique bonus worth $30. We're talking a free epic champion, Rector Drath, 200,000 silver, an energy refill, an XP boost, and 1 ancient shard so you can summon an awesome champion as soon as you get in the game. All this treasure will be waiting for you here. Thanks for listening. Let's get back to our discussion about Ashes of Creation. After the very brief stint of starting up and enjoying a few fun levels in the low-level areas, in the new world, the PvP will kick in. The griefing will kick in. It's been proven time and time again that MMOs that focus solely on PvP players never achieve more than a niche status in the MMO genre. The best they can hope to do is to carve out a tiny corner of a tiny market for themselves and their players. I think AOC can satisfy both groups. I really do. I think it can satisfy the PvP sweatlords who are happiest when others are rage quitting the game because of them.
Wow.
I think it can also satisfy the PvE players who just want to get lost in a beautiful MMO and come together.
There's something I want to say for those of the people that actually do enjoy this when people like rage quit the game. Like, sure, they're gonna like it at first, like, hahaha, I made someone so upset because I'm just so good at the game, hahaha, they log off, they never come back, hahaha, I'm so good, right? Like, that's what they think at first, right? But over the time, like, there will be barely any players left, and then you're gonna actually not be as happy anymore and stuff. So yeah, for those that do enjoy this kind of play style where you make people be upset about the game and quit, like, for the long term, you're not gonna be happy with the game. If you really care about the game, you don't do that. Like, if you do world PvP and you kill, let's say, a noob or something, or maybe someone that's like super low level, then kill them once. You don't need to go there and kill them 3-4 times in a row until they log off. Because I know there are some people like that, especially like vanilla WoW days, that would go to like starting zones where there are like many low-level players, and they will hunt low-level players and kill them 3, 4, 5 times in a row, like the same people. And I don't think that is good. It is not healthy for the game, and whoever enjoys this, they just gonna enjoy it for a moment, but they will see in time that their game will die, and then they have no other game to pick. Because if you're so good and you're so max, you have the best gear and stuff, then why would you even bother killing a noob, right? So yeah.
To take down epic raid bosses, dungeons, and occasionally group up for PvP content when they want to. And I'll go ahead and tell you how I think AOC can achieve this before the video's over. But here's the rub, the inescapable fact that if you're a PvE main in the MMO of your choice, you won't like Ashes of Creation. You won't like when you're trying to level with your friends and a group of sweaty players comes and bullies you out of your spot. Oh, yeah. Did the community work hard to upgrade a node and unlock a new dungeon? That's nice, but I've seen how that plays out. You won't be allowed inside that nice new dungeon. Sorry, that's gonna be locked down by one of 2 groups of players. If you're lucky, it's gonna be locked down by the sweatiest, most degenerate PvP guild on the server. If you go inside, they'll grief you until you leave. Griefing is—
I hate this so much. If you are new, for example, or you didn't get into like this big famous guild, and then they can like go to places and occupy them, and you can't because you're not part of the group and you're like hostile to them, they're hostile to you. I really hope it doesn't become like that with Ashes of Creation, because I see now also what Lucky Ghost means here with the biggest problem in Ashes of Creation, because you will have people camp spots and others can't access them and stuff. That is very frustrating, because then you have to wait and hope that they one day gonna leave. Or you need to find another strong guild one that's like maybe stronger than your guild if you have one, and then you need to overpower them to get this place. Yeah, I don't think that's good. It's not casual friendly. Like these days you have to make MMOs as casual friendly as possible. Like yeah, give also some space in a game for like pro players, for like hardcore gamers that are super veterans. Yeah, give them this kind of super hard modes and stuff. That's why you have, let's say, I give an example, Final Fantasy 14. You have extreme runs for dungeons, right? And I think that's good because this is something for the veterans. But there is also like a lot of stuff for casual players. And casual players, they also need to be able to finish the game, right? So yeah. And by the way, guys, if you're new to this channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content. And let me know in the comment section what you're thinking about this. I think it's not good. Like, I agree here with Lucky Ghost.
It's going to be something that comes up a lot in this video because all the poor, inexperienced players that have never played in this flagging system are under the assumption that they are going to be protected by this flagging system. And this could not be more wrong. You will not be protected by this flagging system. This flagging system is easily abused and circumvented in its current design. And this is my primary reason for making this video. Steven, if you are listening, you cannot recycle this flagging system from a game from 2003 without changing it substantially or adding more systems to protect the players. You must improve upon it to protect the players that aren't griefers. Because, as you know, griefers not only survive under the system, but they thrive under the system. And I know, I'm not going to say anything that Steven isn't aware of. He played this game as well. He played Lineage 2, but he also hasn't addressed these problems publicly. So either he's hoping it's just going to work out, or he's thinking the rest of the game will be good enough to retain players in spite of these glaring flaws. And I'm warning you all now, it won't. It can't be. These flaws cause way too many quit moments daily for most of the players.
I have two examples of MMOs that failed so much, but they were so good at the beginning. And one is Elder Scrolls Online and one is New World. And New World is most recent. And what was the issue? The PvE story, the quest line, was not fleshed out enough. The quests were very boring, were very lame, and they were very repetitive. Even some stuff you did dailies, like some of the dailies were too repetitive. And another issue were the bugs. It was full of bugs. It was like an unfinished game that was released. And even though they fixed now a lot and New World is now way better than it was, it's very hard to get those old players back, because once someone quits a game and leaves, it is way harder to get them back than to get new players in. And when a game comes out, usually there's like a lot of promotion. You go somewhere to like a freaking computer store, or you just watch a YouTube video, you get an ad, oh, this new game is out, and what happens? If you're curious, you will buy it, you will play it for a bit, and then you will decide, is this your game or not? If you decide this game is not yours because you don't like it, like some people had this issue with New World, then they quit, and it's way harder to get them back. And maybe you have already reached on launch so many people that it's hard to get like the mass amount of new people to try your game. So yeah, and ESO had one issue. It was also really good, but the PvP zone, Zero Deal, was full of lags and bugs, and there was some stuff that they nerfed and changed that players didn't like. Like, people loved the fast-paced PvP. That was almost like a shooting game where you go to one player, use like 3-4 skills, you finish them off. And then they made it where everyone was like freaking tanky. You could no more animation cancel, meaning your skills, they come off later. That means if you have heal over times, it can heal your enemy longer, right? Because you hit every 2 seconds suddenly instead of every 1 second your enemy, because you cannot cancel this anymore, the animation. And then like people were upset and many people quit then. A lot of famous Twitch streamers that used to like 1vx and stuff, they left. Their communities left, so ESO had a huge decline in player base because of that. So yeah, it's sometimes the small things, like one zone is buggy or a game, the PvE is just half finished when it launches. Like small things can drive away so many players, and it is very hard to bring them back. So Ashes of Creation has to be very careful on launch that they don't do the mistake that New World did and that ESO did after, I think it was just the second or third DLC where they started messing up with ESO. Because the first 2-3 expansions, ESO was really big. Like Imperial City, for example, was almost like the peak of ESO. Then there came Orsinium and One Tamria. It ruined ESO a lot, unfortunately.
In the game. Now I'm going to explain why, and I'm also going to ask you, the viewer, to help come up with a solution. If you think of a way to improve upon this system to protect normal players from griefers, leave it in the comments below. So, back to the scenario we began to describe. If your group is in a dungeon and you're merrily grinding along, the guild that has this dungeon locked down will show up and flag on you. They will not go red on you because generally the punishment for going red is good enough that it prevents players from doing so excessively. I say generally because it's not always effective, but we'll touch more on that later. However, they don't need to go red. They'll go purple. Healer is throwing out big heals, trying to keep the mobs in the dungeon from killing the tank, because if their tank dies, the whole group wipes, and in the process, the healer is burning through their mana supply. The end is inevitable. You don't win this exchange as the group that's mid-pole against a sweaty PvP guild. The PvE group trying to enjoy the dungeon has two options, and both result in them losing. They would likely lose the fight even if they weren't already engaged with NPC enemies, because it's likely the top PvP guild locking down the dungeon. They are sweatier. They don't log out of the game. They are generally the group of players involved in all of the seediest forms of play, meaning they RMT, they bot, they do anything it takes to be the #1 guild so that they can survive and dominate in this always on PvP game. You, the normal player trying to enjoy the dungeon after work, you don't stand a chance in an even fight, but that's not relevant because they're not going to attack while you aren't fighting NPCs. They're going to wait until your tank is mid-pole and picking away at your team's health until NPCs kill you for them. If you fight back, you will go purple, and that is their biggest hope, because if you go purple, they can dispatch you all the quicker as they will unload on your team, which will be caught fighting them and the mobs that the tank pulled at the same time. If you're lucky, you won't be mid-pole when the other team rolls up. At this point, you'll either both stand there until one gets bored and leave, or you'll fight for the spot. It becomes not a battle of wills, but a battle of time. Who is willing to spend their night?
And the sad part is you often have to be the one that's waiting for the other group to finish. But yeah, because like, I give an example. If you are going there with a group and you know you're gonna lose, then why will you even fight against them, right? So the best option is to just wait until they leave. And you can fight them, you die, you get frustrated, you get embarrassed. And then you have to also fear for your group stability, because it's possible that a large number of the people in your group are quitting because they will be upset about being killed constantly and stuff. So your group gets smaller over time. So what's better? You camp in a big group and you wait it out, or you go with a big group and you keep dying, and then everyone leaves. So they would probably go for other spots that are not occupied, or they have to wait it out in most cases.
Getting nothing done. Who has more time to waste in the game? And guess what? It's not you, it's them. They are the top guild that is holding this dungeon down because they don't have a life outside of this game. They're on it all day and all night, and they live to make other people quit the game. The more miserable you are, the happier they are. It is a direct correlation for them. You might eventually choose to duke it out, or you might choose to waste their time until you have to sign off for the night, feeling good that they got nothing done, but also knowing you didn't have fun. You just wasted the 3 hours you had to play stalemating with one of the sweatiest PvP guilds in the game. They will do this until you leave the dungeon, and they will keep doing it until you decide not to come back. So you'll go to the second most interesting spot in the game to level with your friends, and guess what? The second sweatiest PvP guild will be locking that down, or the best PvP guild will get bored of their area because no one's going there anymore, and they'll come knocking on your door again, looking for people to grief, hoping to get a quick, uneven exchange where they can kill you while you're mid-pole or out.
That's a good point, because like a hierarchy, right? So the top guild occupies this one spot. Then comes the second top guild. Oh, shit. Yeah, we have to take this into account. It will be an even longer time you have to wait for this spot, because there will be at least a couple of other groups before you, unless you are at least in the top 10 guilds or something. Holy shit.
Outnumbered yet again. And I'm not making this up out of thin air. These are not hypothetical situations.
What if you're more of a solo player?
What happens. Lineage 2 had the exact same open world design. It had the exact same flagging PvP system to a T. There is nothing different in the design of the PvP in AOC from Lineage 2 from 20 years ago that is going to stop this from happening. The system is inherently flawed. It rewards griefing. It rewards being an asshole. It promotes a style of play that ensures that only one group is allowed to have fun at a time. Now, I said earlier, you'd be lucky if the sweatiest PvP guild on the server was the one locking the dungeon down. And you're probably wondering, why would I be lucky if it's the sweatiest PvP guild on the server? My sweet summer lamb, ripe for the slaughter. You have so much to learn about purple and red flagging systems in an open world. The other option is, it's the RMT guild locking it down. The people, often from other countries, who turn playing this game into a job where they sell their drops and their gold for real money on third-party websites. They always have the best gear, they always bot, and they're always reinforced by more bots. They are usually the only ones capable of keeping even the sweatiest PvP guilds out of an area. They will
I feel a certain way in World of Warcraft when I see this in freaking zone chat, where people are selling item level pieces and they're saying, hey, I carry you for M plus 22 or something. Hey, I help you get the Keystone Master, this and that. Like, I don't like that at all, to be honest. Like, I understand that some people maybe they want to have like the super group for this and they want to make a big business out of this. But to take advantage of this based on your community or your group, I don't know. I feel it's like so weird. Because it gives like others not a chance, right? Because like the thing is now this, okay? I give an example. If you have like one player that actually pays a lot of money in game for others to carry them and they get like the best gear and stuff, what happens with this player? If they're not super shit at the game, and MMOs gear and stats matter a lot, it is like how it is, then what will happen? They will find easier groups for like higher content, like let's say higher Mythic Plus keys. And what will they get? They will get automatically better gear and better and better and better. And the people that didn't pay any gold to any other player to have a carry to get better gear, they are behind, and then they have to find people that are also not so experienced, and they can never get to like the high end of a game. Yeah, that's why I don't like this. If you can use money, be it like real life money on some webpage to get like strong gear. I think this should actually, is it even legal? I'm not even sure if it's legal. Like those pages where you like for real money sell runs and stuff. Because I hear about this sometimes where in some MMOs, even World of Warcraft, there are pages where you pay real money and they carry you to give you better gear and stuff. It's almost like gacha, because gacha is to say, right? You give money and you become lucky, you get better gear. I hate this. That's why I don't play Genshin Impact, for example, anymore, why I've distanced myself quite a lot from Lost Ark. Because I don't like systems where if you pay real life money, be it legally or not legally, to have a benefit in a game. It doesn't feel fun to me anymore than if this exists.
Employ all of the dirtiest tricks in the book, including but not limited to the ones I've mentioned so far. They will also have new tricks. They will have characters that they bought up to high levels, specifically for going red on your group if you don't go away. They will run them into the dungeon and log them out there. Anytime you go into that dungeon to group up and they can't down you by griefing you, they log in their perma-red character and kill your healer. Usually quite effectively because this character is decked out. If you do kill it and it does drop some of its gear, they'll pick it up instantly, probably via some bot software that does so faster than any human could ever have a chance to compete against. Yes, this also actually happened. Again, I don't have to make this up. I lived it. And in the off chance you do get a piece of gear, it doesn't matter. They have literally unlimited funds to replace it 10 times over because the game is their job. They are literally selling their excess for real money. The more they keep you down, the more money they make by selling to that sweaty, do anything to win PvP guild on the server. And before you tell me that AOC will be the first MMO in history to not have any bots, please spare yourself the embarrassment. It will. Every MMO has bots. It is, however, possible that AOC does a better job than AAA companies like Blizzard and NCSoft at detecting and eliminating these bots. But even if we achieve this
Wait, I want to read this. I have absolutely had it. I'm so mad. I don't care who trolls this post because I literally cannot be more mad. Nvidia capture bots in the game and nothing is done about them. A guy is literally sitting in BGs casting spells and moving to avoid AFK. I filmed it, reported him. Yep, this is an issue with bots too. And what, he wants to even cancel his sub. It's so insanely frustrating. Yeah, bots and people that are using freaking... Like, they're also not something that's like not really like bot, but... I've seen this happen, for example, in ESO. I have no proof yet because like those people that did it, actually, I don't know how they covered it up. But there was once someone, and this was like a group of players. And I actually went there with my guild and we kept killing them many, many times. And they always wanted to flag parts in Zero Deal to get APs. And they were like bots. Because they were like literally brainless. They walked from one place to the other. If you attacked them, they almost died immediately. I mean, it was always good for us because you would get like a lot of APs. But they would do this in the middle of the night, like 2 or 3 a.m. And there were like sometimes nights where still a few of us, like we were just like 3 or 4, were online. We were sitting together on Discord. And then we went to Zero Deal. And we were 3 against 10 plus and we killed them all. And those 10 plus, they were running around like bots. just so they can get some PvP points so they can buy gear and stuff. And you know what's like interesting? If there's like this golden vendor, and if you're actually smart, you can just save this all. And then when a good offer is offered, you just buy this or use the Telvar stones in ESO and you just do bot runs. I actually hate this kind of stuff. Like when people want to progress in a game, I think they should do it themselves and not use any bots or any tools where they can literally cross their hands or something, scratch their head, do nothing, and everything happens automatically while they're watching their screen. And this is like, it's disgusting.
At detecting and eliminating these bots. But even if we achieve this unobtainable bot-free world that you so desire, all of the problems I mentioned about griefing are still there. The flagging system AOC is proposing is not going to work. Lineage 2 was an amazing game in its time, but the genre has evolved. EverQuest, which came out just a few years before, was also an amazing game in its time. Almost no one would play EverQuest now, and almost no one will endure this type of griefing in 2022 and beyond. They'll just quit. You will quit. I repeat, you will quit. AOC will be massive at launch, and we will all watch its player base deteriorate. It will then have a fraction of the income that it needs to put out epic size expansions on par with major MMOs today. The flagging system doesn't work as well as it needs to. It doesn't protect the masses, and it rewards foul play. It creates a toxic culture in the game where the most unpleasant types of personalities survive and thrive. But there are a small percentage of players who enjoy this. Don't worry, I have a solution for you too that will make you sweaty hardcore PvPers happy. My goal here isn't to have the devs create a game that you can enjoy. I am not trying to take away your PvP experience. I am trying to ensure that AOC is popular enough to get massive expansions that keep the game alive and thriving for both the PvE and the PvP players. Make no mistake, if this game is made for the super small subset of MMO players that enjoy this type of
easy solution, make 2 servers. One server has this, one doesn't. They should make 2 servers. That's the best solution. Because you keep one part of the player base happy and one part happy. Like World of Warcraft has this too. We have PvE and PvP servers. I think Ashes of Creation should do the same. And you should be given the option to turn on PvP on a PvE server, right? So if you go on PvE era and you want to PvP, you switch it on. It's easy. Yeah, just 2 servers.
of content, it will not get exciting expansions on the scale of other MMOs today. Right now, this is being made for PvP Andes who are already a small subset of the already niche community that is the MMO player base. And it's not even made for all PvPers. It's made for the ones who want PvP all the time with no way to turn it off. A microscopic portion of the already tiny MMO community. There aren't enough of you. I'm sorry. Without the unwashed masses that are the PvE gigachads, Ashes will not receive the continued subscription numbers to put out impressive expansions. Right now, AOC is making money hand over fist from those unwashed masses that you PvP players so despise. They are buying this game thinking it's going to be their next World of Warcraft, not realizing it's an always-on PvP grief fest in the making. Oh, you think Asmin or any big streamer is going to enjoy this game? Yeah, right. Those PvP guilds will make sure that every player that streams this game is miserable. They will show up and wipe your group any and every time they please. Streamers will be forced to leave. PvEers will be forced to leave. So please consider you and I on the same team, my PvP brethren. I am just from the future. I have already played this game. I have already seen how this PvP system plays out. I am the lucky ghost of AOC past. But let's continue. The next type of griefing is less important, so I'll keep it brief, but it's probably something that should ideally be addressed. And I'm bringing it up in hopes that we as a community can have a constructive conversation about something that can easily erode the enjoyment of a game like this. That is an open world game where anyone can walk into your dungeon while you're doing it. Anyone can walk into your raid while you're doing it. There's another type of griefing known as training, or rather grabbing a ton of mobs from other parts of the dungeon and then dragging them over to your group and dropping them on you, resulting in your death. Your group was capable of handling the 5 to 10 mobs that they had pulled, but the 20 to 30 mobs that another player just drug over your group is another story. You're going to wipe if the developers don't protect you from this. This is a way that groups grief each other even without having to go purple, circumventing the flagging system entirely. This does not add any positive experiences to the game. It's just another way of rewarding foul play and allowing it to ruin the fun for an entire group of people. My question to you is, what could the developers do to prevent this? What kind of aggro rules could they use to ensure that you can't simply abuse bad AI in this way? How do you prevent one player from wiping any group they want by simply dragging a dungeon's worth of mobs onto them? You can't just make super short leashes, because then everyone just skips the dungeon and runs to the end, right? So what can...
That's true. You can just bypass mobs then. You know, they just gotta chase you for 3-4 seconds and then they de-aggro. Okay, cool. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use like a speed potion or some skill that makes me faster. I run through, I skip all the ads. I know that after 3-4 seconds they will de-aggro. It's over. Let's just go to the final boss. Yeah, but this is the thing, like you create one problem with something, and to fix it, you actually, each time you try to fix it, you create another problem. If you reduce the range of the mobs, people are just going to skip and abuse the shit out of this, right? And same with like, I have another example. Like, let's say you get a certain buff if you win a certain node or like a certain fight. Then people want to always have this buff up, right? So if you reward people for actually doing this, then you will have people stay there constantly as well, right? Like, what if you occupy a place successfully and you get like a bonus for this? Yeah, this is the thing, like you have like the solution to something is also causing a problem, and sometimes a problem is causing another problem. Holy shit, they should just make 2 servers, okay? Everything will be happy. Everyone will be happy.
Can the developers do? And also, what can they do to prevent people from simply griefing you until you leave the cool new dungeon node that was unlocked? Ashes of Creation is going to have 2 types of PvP. One is the PvP mentioned here already. The no rules barred open world exchanges between groups of all sizes. Typically, these will not be even matches. The engaging group will make sure they have more players than the group they engage with. They will make sure they have better gear. They will make sure they are higher level, and they will probably make sure that the group they are engaging with is mid-combat with some NPC enemies. The other type of PvP is the more organized and scheduled castle sieges, where guilds sign up to help other guilds defend or attack a castle.
Oh,
this massive scale organized PvP tends to be one that many more players enjoy. If it's scheduled, it's all out and everyone is there to PvP. And there's a...
I actually love this so much. I remember in Elder Scrolls Online, we were pushing for Emperor and stuff. Like, there was some guy in my guild, he was so close to being Emperor. If you get like Emperor and Zero, you get like tons of buff. You can kill alone 20, 30 players by yourself. That's how strong you can get, like seriously. And it's crazy, like, so there's like one evening, he actually planned to, like, my guildmate to become an Emperor, and we made like an organized group of literally, we were like a big Zerg almost. We were like 14 people or so. And we just flipped the whole map. Everything was turned into Ebenhard Pact. We went to like Daggerfall Covenant Keeps, Outposts. We took literally the whole map for us. It was like an organized group. We bombed everyone. We had like out of AoE skills. We just run in, boom. This was fun. And then he was like Emperor, and we actually flipped even more. We flipped even stuff we didn't need. And we had such a very good night. It was start like sometime in the evening until like 3 or 4 a.m. I was almost not sleeping that day. This was so fun. I actually love this kind of siege PvP. It's very, very fun. Where you have like outposts or castles. I mean, they have something like that also in New World, right? Where you can also like attack certain places. This is so fun. I love this in PvP.
Lot on the line. Economically, the winning side makes a ton of money, and so there's a lot of incentive to successfully defend or attack these castles. Again, we know this because it's straight from Lineage 2. So I'm going to propose a solution where everyone wins, where the PvPers get what the PvPers want, and the PvEers get what the PvEers want, one of which is to drastically improve their planned flagging system to prevent people from simply circumventing all of its punishments by griefing people until they die. Perhaps there should be a separate meter that fills up when you attack a white or non-combatant player. This would limit the number of times you could grief an individual that wasn't interested in fighting back. The meter would eventually fill up all the way and turn the player corrupt if they harass the non-combatant player too many times in a defined period of time. This would at least prevent a player from infinitely harassing a player or group who wasn't interested in PvP. It would also limit the number of people's days one player could negatively impact through griefing. I think something like this alone would greatly reduce the amount of ill-intentioned griefing on the server and greatly improve the experience of the...
But here we have one problem. What will be the number? 3 times, 4 times, 5 times? If you make the number too high, like let's say you can kill someone 12 times or so, then it's not gonna change anything. Like, this needs to be a bit sensitive, so you can only kill someone 6 or 7 times in a row, for example.
The average player. Any portion of this meter that is filled by attacking a non-combatant player would be reset if that player decided to attack back. This way, we're not preventing the number of meaningful PvP engagements a player can have, just the number of times a player can grief another player. This still wouldn't protect the average unwashed masses that are the PvE MMO players, but it would at least be a step in the right direction to mitigating some of the griefing that will inevitably cause all of them to leave. And make no mistake, they will leave, and so will their subscription. And if you didn't know, PvE players prop up massive MMOs. PvE players keep massive MMOs afloat, period. And more realistically, this next thing is probably the best solution, and it's simple. It's effective. It's not reinventing any wheels, and there really aren't any downsides. Perhaps the developers should just consider 2 types of servers: AOC PvE servers and AOC PvP servers. Let the PvPers that have been furiously listening to this YouTube video with steam coming out of their ears at the mere thought of turning this game into some kind of disgusting Care Bear MMO, let them keep their PvP-centric AOC game just the way it's been designed, but also create a version of this game that will appeal to far, far more players.
And that's good, because if you do this PvE and PvP option, and like everyone has one to pick, you will see what will be popular at the end of the day. So let's say Steven watches this and he hears what I say now. Like, Steven, if you think it's good with the PvP, and let's say you did make a second server for just PvP, you can see where like most players will play in, right? Like which server they will pick. And I think this is a very, very good way to actually also see and research, like, are people going to like it or not? Because even if you have like the beta phase and people are playing and they say, oh, we don't like it or like it, I don't think that's long enough. I think to actually get the real numbers and see how many people are interested in a lot of PvP and PvE is by having 2 servers and then having like 1 year to collect data and see where do people log in more, where are people more active and stuff. And I'm actually under the impression that the PvE server will have a higher population actually than the PvP server. It will probably start, the PvP server will be higher, but after a while there will be people switching from PvP to PvE server. And what could be done then too is, I'm not sure if they're gonna do this, that they give like free server change, or you can like, you make a character and log in on each server individually. That would be actually cool. I think that would be the best solution, but very few companies do that actually. So you create a character, and your character is basically having access to 2 servers. And each time you log in, you can pick you want to be on the PvE or PvP server. I think that would be the best solution for this, because then your progress is not in vain. Another option is, and that's what, for example, is with World of Warcraft, you can just buy a token for a server change. So you can change for your character, like transfer it from PvP to PvE server, but then people have to pay money, and some people don't like that. So I don't know if they come back to the game. That's also a thing. Or you give like 1 free change to everyone, but only 1, and after 1 year or so. I think that would be also a good solution.
A version of this game where you can't attack the player unless they've opted into PvP. The PvE servers would still have plenty of PvP content. PvE servers would still have sieges, wars, caravans, dueling, etc. Tons of opt-in PvP. But you would not be able to as easily grief other players into quitting the game entirely. You wouldn't be able to ruin other people's dungeon experiences. You wouldn't be able to do the same during raids. Or maybe you do something completely different, and you have specific areas that are PvP on and areas that are PvP off on one server. Some nodes are PvP, some nodes are PvE. Some dungeons allow it, some don't. But the fact is, if you don't give the PvE players that have no interest in griefing other people into quitting, and have no interest in being the player that is griefed until they quit, if you don't give these players a way to play the game, or if you don't come up with a better plan to protect them from the bad apples, you're gonna watch as griefers destroy your player numbers. You're gonna watch as the launch is marred with negative headlines and a mass exodus from the game. Players complaining about dying and dropping their loot. Players complaining about being camped. Players complaining about not being able to go solo in the new cool areas you added, or group in the newly unlocked nodes, because they just get griefed when they go to these places anyway. I know this video probably angered a lot of you, but remember, I'm trying to help AOC, not kill AOC. I'm here to stop the griefing. I'm not here to stop the PvP. There's a massive difference there, and I hope that's what you focus on. I selfishly want this game to succeed so that I can get lost in it for months and for years. I want it to do well so that I can make content about it for months and for years, but I am also a realist. I know that sucking in the copium and pretending that a PvP-centric MMO is going to be just fine and do well is a lie. And I know what's happened to every PvP MMO ever released. Their expansions are small, their lives are short, and their declines often very rapid. And I don't want to see that happen to AOC. There needs to be a version of this game that appeals to and maintains the attention of the PvE player. If not, then I guess there's always that Riot MMO, right boys? Suck down that copium. Sound off in the comments below. I really hope you try to come up with solutions instead of attacks. It doesn't matter how much you hate PvE Care Bears or sweaty PvPers, but if you type out a comment with a proposed solution, you could be the person that saves AOC. So go and try, and maybe, just maybe, we'll get a version of this game that PvPers and PvEers alike can enjoy. The purpose of this video is to start a discussion around Ashes of Creation's Achilles heel, the obvious problem and the obvious hill that it's going to have to climb upon its release. And if we talk about it now while it's in its alpha, early alpha, long before it's released, it has a much better chance of making the adjustments needed to appeal to a broader player base and to having better, more filled out expansions as the game goes on. All I want for the game is to have its best chance of maintaining its player base because I love what I've seen so far. I love the world that it's in, and I can't wait to get lost in it. I am not trying to change this into a Care Bear PvE game, and that's why I think maybe one of the best solutions is to leave the game as it was designed for the PvPers that want that hardcore PvP experience always on, and maybe something else, maybe another server for the PvEers. And I know there's going to be a lot of comments from PvPers saying just get good or just don't play the game, and that's fine. That's what a lot of people will choose to do if the game comes out as it's currently designed. They just won't play it. A massive shout out to my YouTube members. Thank you for supporting this channel in the big way that you do and for helping me make the best content that I can. If you want to become a YouTube member, click the join button down below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and a subscribe for Algorithm Senpai. And if you're not sure what to do next, check out one of the videos popping up on screen right now.
All right, let me give this one a thumbs up. And okay, my solution now. So what I think they should do is, and this will actually really solve everything, but so there will be two servers. I think that's the best solution. And you have this PvP server and this PvE server. And every person has one for free server change. Because at the beginning of the game, you don't know, are people liking the PvP with the node system or not, right? And if you expect someone to, let's say, pay money so they can switch all their progress and everything they've done their character to another server, like a lot of people will quit because of they have to suddenly spend money because they're not happy on this server. And the reason why they're not happy is because they don't like the design of the way the nodes and the PvP works and stuff, right? So there should be at least one for free server change so people can try the PvP experience for, like, let's say a half year. And if they're fed up, they can just switch to PvE. That is very, very good. That's a nice option. And you could always make an alt and check out a little bit the PvE server and see if it's your thing. And then you can move your main, right? I think that would be very, very good. We have something like that in World of Warcraft, and it's actually quite successful. And if you look at the numbers, you still have a lot of people in World of Warcraft on PvE, on PvP servers, PvP realms, but you have almost same amount of people on PvE realms. Like, it's maybe 10% population of difference or so. Like, for example, if you check out Kazakh and Draenor, for example, on EU, the population is pretty balanced, I would say. You have a lot of people on Draenor, and on Kazakh you have also a lot of players. And you find groups on both easily. And one is a PvP and one is a PvE server. So I think that's the best solution. There should be one free server change, because if you do happen to progress a lot on the PvP server, but you're getting annoyed, you start grieving this and that, and you no longer want to be there, you should be having the option, like it should be for free, that you can change at least one time. And I think this will make everyone happy. And if like one completely dies out, you can just make everything PvP or everything PvE, and then you just have two servers for population, or maybe there's like a way to merge both. But it should be at least for a year like that to see, and then they can also collect some data and see what people like more. I think that's the best solution in my opinion. But yeah, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section what your solution and your thoughts on this is. If you guys are new to this channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content. If you guys enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give this one a thumbs up. This is a pretty long discussion today, right? Usually I make smaller videos, but I feel like there's like a lot that need to be said about Ashes of Creation. This game looks really promising. I like it. I want to get into it. And yeah, I wish everyone a wonderful day. I will see you guys next time.